Okay, hopefully... Okay. Let's try this again. Alright, I'm just double checking to make sure my audio works this time. Because last time it didn't work and that made me furious. Okay. Alright, we should be good. Alright, and 3, 2, 1. Hey, YouTubers, it's me, Hua Grace, and I'm back after the fail live stream one. No audio. It's great. So we have to do this again! Yay! Today's topic is going to be on Slizzar. So pretty much if you're new to this, go check out my last video. My last video was, we did a podcast on the vampires and different types of vampires. Check that out if you want to look at that. Today we're going to be going over Slizzar, a more or less, well-known race. I mean, they're not really much played as much. That makes no sense, but it makes sense to me. So yeah, I am here with Hydra, and I'm just gonna call you Rock.
I am Rock.
All right, so who wants to start? I think we want to start with you again.
Sure, I can start again. So the Slizzar are a race that is rather unique in Aloria and in terms of the lore of Massivecraft. They are a species of essentially a serpent people which can morph their body into different shapes depending on who they are with or what they want to get. In their natural form, they are largely serpentoid with a humanoid upper body but then a large serpent tail. But they have a semi-shifted form, which is a combination of a humanoid and a serpent body with a tail, 2 legs, 2 arms, and an interestingly constructed face. But then the last form is always some sort of humanoid or other race, save for a few which they can't transform into, which they then use, which they're always able to be seen by because they all have purple eyes, but they have the ability to appear as any other race that people want.
Right. And Slizzar have more lower body strength and upper body strength when they're in their natural form, and just in general, because their tails are pretty strong for their body. Like, for example, it's like a regular snake. They can suffocate their prey or whatever. Yeah, pretty much like that. Yeah, and they're pretty easy to spot because of their eyes and their scales. Their eyes are purple, and they have scales when they shift and purple eyes.
Yes, the purple eyes retain throughout all the different forms they possess. And as for their lower body strength, indeed, their natural form is quite strong, though they are not very schooled in combat themselves. They are more of the espionage and what's the term? Subterfuge types. They are not so much involved in the physical combat aspects of life.
Yeah. They're more of like a tactical than strength kind of race. So, like, if they had to fight, they'd probably make someone else fight for them. For example, playing chess, they have pieces, and they make those pieces fight with someone else's pieces. Like I was saying before, I think it would be actually really cool if, since, like, Slizzar can make people not really hate them when they're around, but when they leave, they can hate them. Like I said before, like the Freyalo thing that happened in Regalia quite a while ago, I know they're pretty rare now, the Slizzar, but if Slizzar took over Regalia, kind of like Freyalo did, I'd be interested to see what that would do and where that would lead to, and it just seems like an interesting kind of thing.
Well, it'll be fairly hard at this point because this is only done 50,000 individuals, while literally every other race is in the millions, essentially.
Yeah.
Even with their abilities of persuasion, they aren't really popular very much with the Alark, that they used to be allied to, because of the whole Crescent War debacle that occurred.
Rock, you have anything to say?
Not at the moment, I don't think so. I feel like Hydra's got it covered for now.
Alrighty. Yeah, but they can, pretty much, they can, do you want to go over the part where they can persuade people into things. You explained that pretty good last time.
Yes, but unfortunately no one heard that last time. Rochelle, how would you talk about their physical attributes in terms of their face, the shimmering scales?
I actually really like the shimmering scales because I feel like it like really adds to like them kind of like moving in with people, but uh like the scales like are there and are very obvious, but like the scales are also like it helps them blend in more because they kind of get like distracted by how it kind of like makes them look better in a way, which I think
Yeah.
is actually a really nice mechanic.
Yes, the scales in the face are always present throughout all forms of the Cesar, and their eyes add to the whole effect, and their passive ability to make people think they're absolutely beautiful. The most beautiful thing in the room, technically speaking.
It's like even though everyone can recognize that they are in fact a Slizar, they don't care that they're a Slizar, and I think that's really fun.
Yeah. Wish that was that way.
Well, they would care, but they can't say you're ugly. That's literally the only thing they can't.
They just go, ooh, pretty, and then they turn their back and they're like, ew, Slizar, what the hell?
Who that worked that way for that way for Isildar. Slow tear falls down face.
Poor Slizar.
Yeah. Someone had a question in chat. I guess we'd answer it. They said Nuesenia win. I don't know.
I don't know what that means.
I don't know what that means either. I mean,
Does it look like I do survival?
No, I don't do survival. Do you do survival?
I have armor on my skin, not in my inventory.
No, we don't know that question. So basically, give me one moment to
Contact your local game staff, I guess, to get that question answered.
We'll also add in terms of all questions of being looked at or so on. The other ability that Cesar possesses is the ability of sensation surge. When they touch another individual, they can, if they're looking in their eyes as well, that's a key part of it. They have to be touching them and looking them in the eye, and they can have the ability to surge them, but touching flesh, by the way. They can't touch clothing.
Have you guys seen Into the Spider-Verse?
I have not.
no.
Okay.
I know what it is.
There's this part where like Miles puts his hand on like a girl's shoulder and like looks her in the eye and is like, hey. And like that's pretty much it. But like it just reminded me of that. Like you have to be like really obviously like physical contact and eye contact and just hey, and then all of a sudden you're like in the mood. Like it just works. You just get
it can be done subtly. Because the Cesar in their semi-shifted form possess a tail, they can slink that thing around and touch someone, for example, on their exposed
I
foot.
poke your ankle.
Yes, their ankle.
I poke your toe
That doesn't
through your
happen.
flip-flop.
Foot fetish.
Yes. That doesn't happen very much, though, because, well, of course, people know what Cesar are, and they know what to expect, because this is our highly demonized in Regalian society, but it does still happen.
Probably because of the Crescent War.
So my Cesar, for example, the skin that I'm wearing right now, you can see his eyes and all that stuff, but right now he wears gloves because he wants to show that he is not the surging type, though he definitely is, but just in terms of symbolism and imperial culture, he wears the gloves because it's a fashion.
Information, you've been yoinked.
Oh, it doesn't matter. I don't play Henrik enough enough to care.
I'ma pull up. Theia shows up with her sword. Oh wow!
If you look on the lore page at the pictures of the Slizar, to me, in their normal forms, they kind of seem alien-like and scary to me. I don't know. They kind of freak me out. I mean, like,
they're supposed to not look normal.
Yeah, like imagine just like being. Like, walking around the only thing you see this, like, snake thing that looks so, like, weird and, like, different, and you're like, oh, it's an alien. And they're like, no.
We're trying to fill everybody's niche, and people wanted snake people, so they got snake people.
I mean, they're pretty cool when they look in their, like, shapeshift forms. Like, I think the scales and, like, that's really cool how they can do that.
I don't see many people actually role playing in a fully natural Slizar form.
Yeah,
to
I
be
think I've
honest.
probably only seen like three people.
I know Gurko does it quite often.
Yeah. Me and him used to play a lot as his Slizar. Like his Slizar was a servant a long time ago to a family that my character guarded. It was really interesting because like they were like really good friends and like I think in that roleplay era and like that time I found out a lot icily about like how Slizars act and stuff in a way. They're a lot different than normal people. Oh wait, that reminds me. If they fully shapeshift, do they still have a snake tongue?
Yes, they do. They do have the ability to taste.
Oh, that's so weird.
Not really. Just as they retain their abilities throughout all their different forms, they just change shape. For people who don't know what that is, I was mentioning before, there's sensation surge, which gives people emotions when they touch and look at them and look in their eye. Two different forms of it. One's weaker, one's stronger. But they also have the ability to taste within, what is it? Is it a 10-foot radius or whatever around them with their unique tongue, which in normal human appearance just looks like a human tongue, but when they shift, it turns normal snake tongue. Though I don't know, but the normal Aelor tongue might also just change based on the different race you're on or whatever. But it could be a little forked human-looking tongue. I don't really know. But all I know is that yes, we can taste your, I believe it's race, age, and gender.
Oh, that's interesting. I didn't know they could do that. Yeah, I really
Not
didn't.
age, and it's definitely race.
Yeah, well, I didn't really think about the taste sensation. I know that like regular snakes in like real life, like they can like sense like body heat and like stuff like that around them. I guess like Laura just made it to where it's really overpowered to where it kind of reminds me of like a bit of perception. You know how perception, like someone can see, like tell if someone's there or something, but it's like a higher rank perception.
Well, it really plays in with their shifted forms, how like they are able to sense what that person thinks is attractive. Like it only makes sense to be able to like tell their gender and their race.
True.
And figure out what they like in a person.
In terms of roleplay, I usually emote my character to do like a swallow, essentially, which is basically him just sensing the air for like a second to like as a ping, basically like a sonar ping to do it. I don't have him constantly sensing what everyone around him is like. I have him actively do it because of.
When you said that, I kind of reminded me of like, you know, like the little like outside lizards, how like they blow up their bottom like chin thing with the red thing. I kind of reminded me of them when they gulp down and they blow up their little red thing.
Lizards with red things?
Yeah. Like when he said like he usually gulps the air, it reminded me of like when like, you know, like little lizards like puff up their chest. I'm like like where is a mate around here?
Oh, you mean like off their chest and their throat?
Yeah.
I don't quite do that, but just human swallow, which is like essentially him just going.
Yeah. So how long have we been streaming? 14 minutes? Okay.
So I talk about the Chrysant War, which we've mentioned.
Oh yeah, sure. Yeah.
I'll talk about the Slizar's history because then it'll explain. The Slizar, in terms of Aloria and the Massivecraft's lore, the Slizar live in a region called Hadar. It's a part of a region called Hadaria because they also live in a region called Termin, which they all colonized and made all pretty because it's all tropical. But Hadar is super tropical island paradise, and something like that. But the Altalar, the main elven race, arrived with their empire. They found the Slizar, and the Slizar found new toys to play with because they like to manipulate people. And when the Nelfin, the Altalar, settled in the region, they promptly turned the different governors against each other and started conflicts between them in order to appease their deities. However, eventually the empire had enough and they evacuated, leaving the Slizar with no toys, but with a bunch of new ruins and riches and stuff to play around with. But then the cataclysm occurred, which changed the whole world, and while the Slizar were not damaged by it, they lost connection with Dain, and also the Dain were where the elves were from, and then also their own land had several volcanic eruptions, which further caused damage to their society. But before that, the Alar had also arrived, and after the Cataclysm, they fully integrated into their society as mages and magistrates and priestesses, as they're transforming the Alar into usable allies and manipulative tools for their wishes. And eventually, one of the Caesar helped to unite all of the different Chrysant kingdoms, as they were called in that era, into one nation called the Essa Empire. However, Regalia, which was far off at this time, was undergoing something called the Regalian Pessimism, which was essentially the weakest period they'd ever been since they had formed and gained power. Because they were so weak, their naval power had also similarly declined, but seeing the Essa Empire ramp up their own production of ships and supplies and armies, because the Empress wanted to invade south, not north to Regalian territory, but the Regalians did not know that at the time anyway. Or if they did, they ignored it. They decided to use the ramp up of supplies and warships as a justification for war, and so they went to war against the Nalar without any warning at all, which resulted in the Chrysant War, which devastated Hadar. The Caesar, at the end of it, they were killed a fair bit, but they also retreated whenever the Regalians arrived, because of course they avoid conflict and are manipulators from the shadows. After the war, the Alar got revenge on the Caesar for essentially betraying them and abandoning them to their fate. And so the Alar are actually the one who killed most of the Caesar in the world, not the Regalians. So the Caesar then scattered across the entire world, or a few stayed at home in isolation, and essentially that is why they are the way they are today, so few in number and scattered. They do still return every once a year on the day of the eclipse in Regalia, which is the 5th of January, I believe. Every year on that date, they return to one of their most powerful and majestic sunken temples, which was sunk during the Chrysant War, but is also a highly holy site. And they all gather around it, enter the water, and sing a song trying to bring back the deep sea serpents, which they once controlled and who they worship, but they never can. So then it just turns into a celebration where they can have the opportunity to reproduce, which otherwise they would not normally have because they're so individualistic. Also just celebrate their own culture and stuff like that on the islands, but then the next day they're all gone.
So it kind of reminds me of what is it called? There's this type of animal.
What?
That
No.
I forget what they're called, but they group up like once a year or something, and they mate and then they scatter. I think it's like a type of a bug. I can't remember which bug it is. Huh?
The cicada?
Yeah.
It's like they all come out at the same time, they mate and then they die.
Yeah, the cicada. That's what it reminds me of.
There's also an insect in, like, I don't know, some African lake I saw once and heard about, that they all swim out of the water like an hour, and then they all die, but their eggs have all been laid in the water, and they breed for another year, and then they all emerge and do the same thing over and over.
Oh.
Not quite like that, no, but yeah, they don't all mate or whatever. Like, they're nothing like that, but just it provides them the opportunity to, whereas normally they don't. Though, Caesar do have the unique ability to decide if they can. What's the rating on this podcast?
The rating?
Rating.
You're good. Don't go R. PG is fine.
Okay. They have the ability to choose if they can get pregnant or not. So that's something that they can do. And if they don't want to at the festival, they don't have to. But because the Caesar are so few in number, ideally you kind of should if you are a female Caesar. Though it's a little bit odd because their own gender, like, they are male and female, yes, but because they can morph their body to whatever they want when they're in the other forms, a male Caesar can take on a female form of an Aelor anyway, or a female can take on a form of a male Aelor or something like that when they're in their final form, but it doesn't matter to them because their gender is sort of like fluid in that sense.
So basically,
they of course still do have.
Can they all get pregnant then?
I believe only male Caesar can still get pregnant. I mean...
Okay, no, Rochelle, no, don't do that. Yes, only females can get pregnant. Like only female Scizor can get pregnant because males don't have the organs.
I
So if they
mean,
are,
They're not
the template
seahorses.
You have
They're not
happens to be
seahorses.
pregnant.
I'm going to get into it, Rochelle. Shush. Don't get into it. Don't start with me. But yes, in their natural form, only Scizor can mate with Scizor, and they can choose if they want to have children, though. So that's the interesting part. But when they're in the fully shifted form, if you are a male Scizor and you do a female form, and you choose to get pregnant, you can do that, and then they will be forced to get pregnant. And the children that result from that are, Rochelle. Are they like, they're not skaglings? They're like just normal humans, right? Yeah, they are. They're like.
No, skagling is.
If they're.
Yeah.
If the. No, the skaglings can also be. They're right now. Never mind, sorry. But yes, if an Aelor got with an Aelor Scizor, the child would still be an Aelor. They wouldn't have any Scizor traits because the template shift the Scizor undergoes overrides their own racial features.
I have two dads, and one of them is the Snape.
So wait, let's say a Slizar body shifts into let's say an Avanthar, and that quote unquote Avanthar mates with a like quote unquote Aelor. Would that make the child just like half Avanthar, half Aelor, or would it make them just
Yes,
Aelor?
they like any combination.
Like the fully shifted race they turn into.
Yeah, it's like if it was an Avanthar or a human, it would be a half elf or whatever. Like the different categories of half race. Let's involve a pregnancy, though, please.
Yeah.
No pregnancy nor genitalia questions in the ticket bot, please.
Yeah.
Any other questions have been asked?
I can check. Let's see.
This is your time to save
any questions?
a few minutes on the ticket bot.
Any questions about Slizar or any questions in general? We don't know any faction questions, so don't ask us faction questions.
I do not go in survival. I am sorry. Stay in Regalia where it's safe.
Questions? Oh yeah, right. The thing's delayed, so we might get questions in like a moment because the stream's delayed a bit.
While it's delayed though, Rochelle, have you ever rolled?
Yes, I have actually. I remember this now. I don't see a lot of Slizar role players, and it's always very interesting whenever I get to interact with one.
Yeah.
When I was managing the Hidden Dragon, there were a few that would come by and, do hidden dragon things.
Ooh, sexy lady. Whoop, whoop, whoop.
I said no pregnancy.
Okay, that's not pregnancy.
Oh boy.
Yes, well, it's kind of the point. Luckily, because they're so rarely rolled, that's the entire point of them.
I love that Slizar get to pick if they get pregnant or not. Like, I wish I could do that.
Orcs do too.
Okay,
well, that is the same.
Orc women are ballers by what they never. You're weak. Mama Borbash and Big Bora need to come back and step.
Well, while we wait for questions.
Now, Rochelle.
Biting my head.
Well, while we wait for questions, anybody have any opinions on what you'd like to see added or changed to the Slizar page?
Rochelle, do you have anything?
No, you go first. I'll probably think of something.
Oh well, I don't think have anything that would really change. This is underwent. Neither of you probably remember this, but this underwent a 1.5 year long hiatus where Marty, the server administrator and the head lore team, he couldn't quite nail down their rewrite. So I, as a player, went on to other characters because I couldn't just focus on mine. Like my Scizor for a long time, which is this one right now for you. I kept this one since. What? No, this character's called Henry. Anyway, so the Scizor took a super long time to rewrite. So at this point, I'm perfectly fine with the way they are because I'd rather not change much. The only things that need to be changed are like small edits and alterations to suit lore stuff or to suit roleplay things. Luckily, that doesn't happen in a little bit of a while. So very recently we did change something. Cesar can also sense when they used to be able to sense when anyone's under the possession of somebody else. Their mind was being altered or controlled by somebody else. They could sense that something was happening with their brain and they were affected, but they couldn't tell what kind or sort. We removed that now. Now it's just they can sense when another Scizor-controlled person is in the room. So anyone who's affected by sensation surge or perhaps or Scizor bonding, which is the extreme version of like when they mate with another when they mate basically for life, essentially. That would be the, well, not mate for life, but like a really deep connection. Essentially, that's what it is. It's also their benefit, because if they do a Scizor bond with someone, they gain increased knowledge and ability in their skill when the Scizor is around them. So it makes them more powerful when the Scizor is present, essentially, in a certain trade or craft or activity, anyway. But yes, we changed it from they can only sense that sort of a thing. Other than that, the only thing that needs to be changed is not.
Yeah. Where did Rock go?
I may have crashed.
Oh.
Probably crashed.
Do you have anything you want to say about him?
My only thing is, like, I'd probably just want to see, like, a proper Slizar community be made. Maybe, like, their own political agenda where they, like, more actively sign up to be in the political system and, like, assisting nobility in the, like, that would be really fun to see.
I tried that, Rochelle, a long time.
I know, everybody tries it and it never works and it makes me sad.
I try though. The problem was that just after the it just didn't make any more. Like lore sense doesn't make. As I mentioned, they're highly individualistic. In a group, we tried for a little while. We tried to just ignore the fact they wouldn't work as individuals, and it worked fine. But just it was hard to make people to join up and all, like for the meetings or whatever. And it was also just generally hard in my own schedule because I am a university student and I had a lot of busy stuff going on and other things that I was working on and stuff. And it was just hard to get all the Scizor together because a lot of the Scizor characters, like role players, they're very disparate in their time zones. There are a few that used to play who are like in Australian time zones. A few were also in like European time zones, and other ones were just also disparate. So it was very hard to get as like a large group of them together all at once. We did still though for a little while, and it all worked out. But then after the great big huge New Year's like celebration at the temple where we all worshipped the eclipsed sun, which is thought to represent in their religion the gods being all eaten and then being reborn. After that, it kind of just fell apart because it makes sense for it to fall apart because they all teamed up to pool their resources to get a ship to go there, protect themselves, and all of those stuff. Then after it occurred, then they just broke up again because they're like, "We'll see you next year," but we're not going to do anything for that. Because also at that time, in that old lore, there also was like a competition factor, like the system rewarded them for quote unquote competing with each other. But that was torn out because there were not many Scizor role players anymore. It was only just one person who claimed to be the top dog, and it didn't make any sense.
That kind of gets me thinking about the what's it call it? About like, for example, what if like not each week, but like once a month, there was a week in each month where a certain race celebrates their religion or thing. It's like a whole party, kind of like a festival, but for that race's belief or whatever. I think that'd be
there
pretty
are a lot of those in lore, but
I know, but like if we made it a thing in Massive, like once a month,
we have event threads. If the played culture groups want them to happen, we will happily make them happen.
I think that'd be cool.
Venus ones happen fairly decently, like continuously.
Yeah, it's just like we don't know that people want those things to happen or actually have interest in them, so we don't do it because we're unaware.
I see.
When people do it, also sometimes it's very private. For example, the Scizor whole thing, I organized that myself, and the only people who knew were the other Scizor and some people who helped us along, like who knew in character like what we were doing, and they helped us do that. But beyond that, no, it was also just a forum post. I'll say that much. Like it was a big old organized forum post, but still.
Ah, right. Alrighty, well. I think, unless we have anything else to say, I think that wraps up the video. Anything else?
I do have one other thing to mention. Let me think, what was the one I wanted to mention? Oh yes, the roleplay Scizor. They're very fun and enjoyable.
Roleplay Skaglings, they're cute, but have less powers than a Slizar. They're useless Slizar.
Yeah, maybe
Okay.
this video will help people kind of be like, hey, maybe let's try a Slizar. That's what I'm hoping. So I do these kind of things so people can expand their horizons and try new things without having to read because, you know, some people really don't like reading.
Yes, we are well aware of that.
I have to do a lot of reading.
Before we go, though, any
Tickets.
other last questions from the audience on the different platforms and whatnot?
Audience, please.
Nobody's really asked any questions. I messaged some people. They don't have any,
Dang, this is like free tickets without actually having to message the ticket bot.
So that so we don't
Only
want
if it pertains to Slizar, though.
And then there are a lot of those still.
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, now I kind of want to make a Slizar.
On a personal note, please don't make a Slizar vampire. Just do a normal Slizar.
There's way too many Slizar LAs.
There's too many vampires.
Yeah. We understand that they are attractive as like the ultimate seducing, seductress, whatever. But still, just play a normal Slizar.
You know what
Like,
isn't
we
attractive?
them.
Being burnt at the stake by the Iron Spire Regiment.
Some people might find that
Oh, no, did I
attractive.
break that?
You broke something.
What did I
Did
break?
that?
You broke a block.
Oh no.
You broke the table. But now I kind of want to play as Slizar to see, like, I might do that now.
Definitely.
Michelle, it's the wrong block.
What do you mean it's the wrong block?
It's the right block. Anyways.
No, it's not. Look at the pattern.
What are you talking about?
It's a workbench. Crafting.
No, it's a piston. It's a piston.
Piston.
It's a piston.
No, look at this over here. This one.
Oh,
this
that.
Is the crafting table. This is the crafting table. This is the pattern. It's the pattern. It's the middle of the table.
God damn it. I'm gonna
Anyways.
kill you, I see.
Anyways, thank you guys for watching. Hope you guys enjoyed, and join back next Wednesday for another podcast. If you're wanting to join, if you know anything about lore, let me know in the comments below, and you might be able to be a guest on the next show or whatever this is. Yeah.
Can we get a sneak peek at to what next week's topic is?
I have not chosen next week's topic. It's either them to choose or me to choose. So if they don't choose one, I'll choose one.
You should definitely make a list.
Yeah. I'll do like a poll on the forums or something.
Ooh, that'd be fun.
Yeah. Anyways, see you guys later. Bye-bye.
Bye.
I am Rock.